and yeah, grow from energy from the sun. And it doesn't really mind that there's so much sodium bicarbonate floating around in the medium, while other organisms really have a hard time to survive in such a condition. So yeah, nutrients can be really a determining factor on what type of organism you can grow in your reactor or in your factory. The other very important factor to take into account is always the atmosphere in which microbes are growing. There are different types of atmospheres depending on the level of oxygen that is available. Certain organisms they really need oxygen, otherwise they can't live, such as humans. You know? We cannot. Yeah, we will be dead if there's no oxygen. So we are strict aerobic organisms. But there are also organisms that cannot grow at all if there's oxygen around. They do not tolerate oxygen, and those are called strict anaerobic organisms. And in the tubes that I made a drawing on the top right, you can, when you are growing microbes for the first time in a liquid, and you notice that all of the microbes are floating in the bottom of the tube, they most likely don't like oxygen. And if they're all floating at the top of the liquid, they most likely need oxygen to grow. So you can quite easily already tell what type of organism you're dealing with. But then there's also another category, which is the facultative anaerobic organism. That one can actually choose. You know, it likes doesn't really it likes to be in oxygen presence, but if it's not there, it can also grow. So then you would see in your tube, you would see cells everywhere on the top and also somewhere in the bottom of your tube. Then there are also aerotolerant cells, so they don't use oxygen, but they don't bother if it's around. And there are some more specific categories like microaerophilic, so they only grow when there's a reduced level of oxygen, or capnophilic, which means they like an increased level of oxygen. So these are, let's say, the atmospheric characteristics that you have to keep in mind when you're growing your organisms. Then, of course, there's temperature dependence. Some bacteria or fungi, they really like to be in a cold environment. So they are called psychrophilic. Some of them really like to be in a higher temperature, so they are thermophilic. Yeah, if they're in between, they are mesophilic.